There are rich countries and there are poor countries. You might think the rich countries just got lucky to get where they are today. But no, it's not luck at all. Although luck is a huge factor, the rich are rich because they have done many things right. I've analyzed some of the wealthiest countries in the world, and in this video, I'll be sharing what rich countries have in common and what they have done right. So before I start, I just want to clarify what I mean by wealthy. What's considered a wealthy country can vary widely, but just to keep it simple, I'll be referring to the ones that have high GDP per capita of over 50,000 US dollars a year. Ideology. There are three main systems: communism, socialism, and capitalism. Which one should you follow? Well, good news or bad news? You have to choose capitalism if you want to be wealthy. There's no other choice. Even though there's some dark sides to capitalism, I mean really dark stuff, capitalism is still the best economic and political systems humans currently have. Well, you might ask, what about communism and socialism? Well, there actually never existed a true communist country. And socialism, or socialist countries today aren't doing too well in terms of economic output at an individual basis. China might be an exception. China is sort of a socialist country, but it's a very wealthy country overall. But if you look at its GDP per capita, it stands just at over 13,000, which is around the world average. Capitalism works for a reason. It rewards people for creating value to the economy, and it uses the fundamental human nature to its advantage, which is greed. When you create more value to the economy, the country or region becomes more prosperous. The highest income countries in the world on a per capita basis are all capitalist-oriented countries. Service sector. Any country that wants to become a high-income country must focus on its service industry and not manufacturing. Here's why. The service industry includes finance, healthcare, entertainment, education, technology, and so much more. In the US alone, its service industry accounts for more than 2/3 of its GDP. While in Singapore, another high-income country, its service industry accounts for more than 70% of GDP. With other developed countries as well, their manufacturing sector is not nearly as dominant as their service industry. Why is this? It's because the service sector is usually highly specialized, creating much higher value-added output to the economy. Industries such as the tech sector can be scaled bigger and much faster than the manufacturing sector. Let's take social media for example. The services it provides are global, reaching everyone that has a cell phone, and when they offer new services or changes to their platform, it can be scaled globally and very fast. Compare that to something like manufacturing furniture. You can only manufacture as much as your factory is capable of making. Even then, it needs to be shipped out and sold. Once again, the service industry is highly specialized and cannot be replicated easily. Whereas manufacturing, if you have the right technology, the right infrastructure, the right raw materials, your products can be replicated much easier. That's not to say that manufacturing is not important. Manufacturing is very important. It's important for having basic products, essential products, and maybe politically sensitive products. But at the end of the day, service sector is what drives growth and prosperity to an economy. If a country wants to be rich, it must focus on its service sector. Attracting talents. Attracting talents is almost like stealing. Actually, it is stealing because it takes resources and time to grow people into becoming talents. When those people become talents, they start working for another country. I mean, that's kind of a betrayal. But if you look at it from a financial perspective, it makes sense. Why should I stay in a country where they pay me so much less than another country where they pay me so much more? When another country values my ability so much more, why should I stay in the country where they don't value me at all? That's why it's important to have the right policies and incentives to attract talents from all around the world. Talents provide something that economy has high demand of or doesn't have. So it helps by increasing productivity. When you don't have enough talents from your own people, why not get it from somewhere else? Attracting talents isn't optional. It's a requirement for a competitive economy. Some of the most talent competitive countries include Switzerland, USA, Luxembourg, Netherlands. Is it a coincidence that these countries are rich? It's not a coincidence. Business freedom and business confidence. Wealthy countries around the world are fueled by business freedom and business confidence. Take Singapore for example. They have little to no natural resources, yet they are one of the wealthiest countries in the world in terms of GDP per capita. Why? They have extremely business-friendly policies, low corruptions, easy to do business domestically, internationally, and very politically stable with no wars or violence, which makes it a very attractive destination for investment or doing business. Basically, business freedom and confidence is highly linked to economic growth and prosperity. If you put your money or do business in that country, are you confident you can do business without much barriers? Are you able to trust that country to keep your money safe? Can you trust that country with your own money? Can you trust the country's law to be fair and protect you in case of fraud or abuse? Can you trust the government doesn't take your asset away for no reasons or for corruption reasons? For most wealthy countries, the answers are yes. That's why they are wealthy for a reason. They are able to attract investments by gaining investors' confidence. Productivity and innovations. Forget everything else. These two are the ultimate key drivers for economic growth in any economy. And that is productivity and innovation. If you want growth and sustainable long-term growth, you need to increase productivity and innovation. Everything else comes secondary. Productivity is about maximizing output using the same or less resources. Basically, becoming very efficient or specializing at something you are good at in exchange for other products or services that other people are good at. This overall leads to a chain effect where people and businesses can create more valuable products and services on top of one another, which adds up to the total sums of output of the economy, also known as GDP. To increase productivity for a country, it can invest in education, invest in skill-based training, promote entrepreneurship, or invest in productive infrastructures. Capital markets and investments. Once you have all the factors for growth, what can accelerate the growth even faster? Money. Just like a business, when a country has lots of money laying around, it can grow a lot faster. The country can use the money to invest in infrastructure, education, R&D, and many other productive investments. When the country has a regulated and transparent capital markets, like the stock market or bond market, it allows people to invest in companies or invest in the country for much faster growth. The investors could be your own citizens from foreign countries, but if you create confidence for everyone to invest in, this would attract money from investors big or small into the stock market or the bond market, which allows domestic companies to grow faster or to spend on productive investments. That's why it's so important to create the right policies and regulations for investors to invest money into your own country, whether through domestic companies or assets. Exceptions. There are countries that don't follow many of these requirements, yet they are still rich. Let's look at China. Their overall GDP stands at second, just behind the US. They are the manufacturing powerhouse of the world, producing about 30% of the world's products. They don't have a high degree of business freedom, and their labor force isn't exactly productive. Why are they so rich? It's important to remember that China still have some form of market-oriented economy and privatization. Their population of 1.4 billion is a large driving force for growth. The country also had rapid industrialization and a centralized government that embraced adoptions of new technologies and large infrastructure spendings. But still, if you look at the GDP per capita of China, it's still a developing country. It can't be compared to a developed country at all. Another exception is Qatar, a country that has a high GDP per capita. Although Qatar doesn't tick all the boxes, they are still a rich country. Why? They have lots of natural resources, mainly oil and natural gas. But their growth has severe dips and peaks, which is not something that you would want. Their economy is largely driven by oil prices, and the main reason for their wealth is natural resources, and that is something other countries cannot replicate. The country either has that natural resources or it doesn't. And this form of growth is not sustainable, and many countries wouldn't want that. And Qatar itself is also moving away from that growth model. Now they're trying to build their own talents and trying to diversify into many other industries. What it all comes down to. At the end of the day, building wealth as a country requires the country to empower its own people. I don't mean empower by making the people work long hours and giving them low wage, or giving them little to no economic mobility at all. What I mean is every single individual, you and me, we have something to contribute to the world. We have skills, we have our talents, we have something. And if the country and its leaders can empower us to pursue what we're good at, the country has the potential to become very wealthy. As I've mentioned before, it still comes down to two things, and that is productivity and innovations. And if you have the right policies to attract investments and talents, the country can become very wealthy. So it's the end of this video. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button and comment down below which topic I should cover next. Thanks for watching.